Hello, everyone, and welcome to today's analytics beginner video. We're going to be talking about creating widgets and, most importantly, the theory behind choosing the right area inside Borealis to pull the data from. I'm really excited to get into this and show it to you. It's actually going to be our first step into analytics again, or another big step into analytics, because we're going to actually create some custom widgets and not use the ones that the system provided us. Now, the first thing we need to do to create a widget is to make sure we're in the analytics module. As you saw, we can create widgets when we're inside of a report, but today we're going to do it from the widget section in the analytics module. So instead of being in reports, we're just going to go over to widgets. Now, we have talked about widgets a bit in the previous videos, but I do want to officially tell you what a widget is. And it's, as you saw, a chart, a list, a indicator. It's actually just a way to visually display your data by using the data in Borealis. And then we could take these widgets, which are charts, indicators, calendars, lists, line charts, bar charts, and we can add them into our report, and at the end of the day build something that's really meaningful to us and visually explains our data to us, so that we can easily identify areas that need improvement, or even provide some metrics to people that may need them. Now, in order to create a widget, again, very simple. You just click the green create button here, and we have a few options available to us. We can pick the type of widget we want, or we can pick the form. We're going to talk mainly about the form in this video and then get into the type in the next video. The reason we're going to talk about the form is, as I mentioned, I want to get into the theory of how to pick the right area to pull your data from in Borealis. And what I mean by that is the form is the actual area in Borealis I want to pull the data from. So as you can see, the reason I want to discuss this is there's a very extensive list of areas to pull data from, but I actually have one simple question and one simple method we can follow in order to properly find the right area of Borealis and make this widget. Now, as any good data analyst, before we build a chart or a list, we need to think, what's it about? And I know that seems very common sense, but it'll actually help us find the form to pull the data from if we just ask ourselves that simple question. Let me give you an example. Maybe I want to report on the types of stakeholders that we have in the system. I need to ask myself, well, I want to report on the type of stakeholders in the system. Where do we store our types of stakeholders? Well, let's navigate to Borealis to find that answer. So again, I'm just looking to find what types of people I'm talking to or have in my system. Where do we store this data? Well, if we're familiar with stakeholder engagement, you know that we store most of the data related to people, stakeholders, inside of the individuals or organization section of the system. I want you to remember this now, that we're in the stakeholder engagement module, we're in the stakeholder section, and we're going to look at individuals, or the list of people or types of stakeholders that I'm talking to. I'm going to show you now why it's really key to remember that, because I asked myself that question. Well, I want to look at the types of people we're talking to. We store that in the individual section of stakeholder engagement. Watch this. If I just type in individuals, you'll see that the section comes up here, and we could select this option. And what this is just referring to, as you can see, is stakeholder engagement, stakeholders, individuals. And if you remember, I just mentioned, and we could follow that same practice here. This is the stakeholder engagement module, this is the stakeholders, and this is the individuals form. And we can, again, just do that same reference here. Stakeholder engagement, stakeholders, individuals. That's how we select the right form. Let's do another example, and let's pick a different type of example. So maybe when I'm building my widget, I would like to report on or see the types of things or topics or subjects that I'm talking about with my stakeholder in email. We could do that simple reference again. Well, if I'm looking to see data that's stored inside of emails or any type of correspondence with my stakeholder, even if I want to say, what have my phone calls been about? We can easily, again, just do that quick check. Well, where do we store correspondence with stakeholders? We store that in the stakeholder engagement module in the engagement section under communications. Now watch, if I go to the form here and I type in communications like this, you'll see that the same type of thing comes up: stakeholder engagement, engagements, communications. And just to check one more time, stakeholder engagement, engagements, communications. Again, I'm just telling the widget, where do I want to pull the data from in Borealis? So in this case, I just want to maybe create a list of my meetings that I had. So where do we store correspondence with stakeholders? In the communication section. Let's go ahead and just select the stakeholder engagement, engagements, communication section of Borealis to pull the data from by clicking on it, and we've just completed step one to building our widget. I also do want to highlight that it is normal to swap between different forms to find better data. For example, if I'm looking to report on the people that I'm engaging with, we may think to go to the communications form because we're talking about engagements, but we can link communications to individuals. So you may want to pull the communication data from the individuals form. That's a little more advanced and will be covered in a later capsule, but just want to highlight that that is normal practice. That's it for this video. We're going to actually pick the type of widget in the next video and get into how to create your very first widget. So really excited to show you that. But for now, have a good day and see you in the next video.